you gotta do is read a book. Open up the cover and take a look.
Hello, my name is Brad Dover, Fire Chief with the City of Monrovia, and I am so pleased to be able to read for you today. This book that I'm reading is Verdi, and it's by Janell. She's super talented, and she actually not only wrote the book, but she also illustrated or did the pictures in the book. This particular book is a book that I've read several times to students, and I hope to be able to read to you again sometime in person. And why I like this book is because the snake actually has perceptions about other snakes. And as he goes through the book and learns about himself and grows, he actually realizes that what he thinks about other snakes isn't necessarily true. So it's a form of actually him learning about himself and learning about others, a transformation in this book, which is really exciting because we all go through that in life. I've gone through that. And so that's wonderful. And I brought Verdi, who is the star of this story. I also personally like reading because the books that I like to read are non-fictional books. And, or shall I say fictional books, I got that messed up. And I like to lose myself in all sorts of stories and the characters and go to places all around the world when I read. So I actually read almost every night before bed. I've read a lot of books, and I get really stimulated and excited when I read a really good story with really good characters. So reading really is a big part of my life. So if you're ready, I'm ready, and we're going to read Verdi together, okay? So this book takes place on a small tropical island where the sun rose high above a steamy jungle. A mother python was sending her hatchlings out in the forest the way mother pythons do. They grow up big and green as the trees and the leaves, she called to the little yellow babies as they happily scattered through the trees. But Verdi, he dawdled, and he was slow. But he proudly eyed his big yellow skin, especially liked the stripes on the zigzag down his back. And I'm sorry, I can't see over here. Why the hurry to grow up is what he was thinking. Why be green, he wondered. Maybe some of the older snakes in the jungle could tell him. So Verdi ventured out to the treetops to find them. Umbles, Aggie, and Ribbon were lazily in some of the branches nearby. Verdi peered at them, their droopy green bodies. It is not polite to stare, chided Aggie. Umbles burped and groaned. It's taken nearly 4 weeks for that last lizard to digest. I surely do like lizards, but lizards don't like me. Why don't lizards like you? Asked Verdi. Don't interrupt, Umbles grumbled. Dear me, whined Aggie. If I don't shed this skin soon, this itchy skin will drive me bananas. Verdi tapped a tune with his tail as he waited to speak. Stop that, Verdi. It makes me nervous, Ribbon complained. Besides, you'll never grow to be properly green, always interrupting and constantly fidgeting. Verdi couldn't imagine being in such a hurry to grow up and be like them. And Verdi really wanted to keep his sporty stripes. Hoping to find some snakes that weren't so boring, Verdi slipped away. Dozer was snoring in a tree not far from the others. Hello, says Verdi. Do you want to go climb trees with me? I'm tired, Dozer growled. Go do a few laps and then come back to the jungle, okay? Verdi's heart sank. Greens were not only lazy and boring, but they were very rude. On the top of a very tall tree, Verdi gripped a branch with his tail and another with his little snake jaws. I will never be lazy, boring, or green, he thought. I will jump and climb and keep moving as fast as I can, and I will stay yellow and striped forever. And then Verdi let go. Whoosh. Flying through the air, as you can see. Verdi was having such a great time just being a young yellow snake flying on his own. And from a distance, the greens watched. There's the other green snakes. Oh my, they chortled. Ribbon shook his head. At this rate, he'll be lucky to make it till his first molt. That's when his skin comes off. Aggie nodded. He's likely to put an eye out with a branch. Umbles moaned. Yeah, and he may not ever even live to turn green. But one day, Verdi's skin began to peel, revealing a pale green stripe stretching along his whole body. Cack! He gasped. How can this be? I'm the speediest snake in the jungle, and I'm still turning green. He raced down to the river, grabbing up a mouthful of rough leaves. Verdi flung himself into the water. If I can't run this green off, I'm going to scrub it off, he thought. And you can see he's changing color. His frantic splashing caught the eye of a large bottom feeder, cruising the murky depths. Yum, the old fish hummed. Lunch. Uh-oh, Verdi's in trouble. Before the fish could haul Verdi under, the frightened snake bit him on the nose. Ha, poop! The blast of his rubbery lips, the great fish sneezed, and Verdi flung into the air. Slapping onto the soggy shore, Verdi skidded out of reach. Whew, he barely escaped that one. Whew, that was close, he sputtered. Every inch of his body was covered with wet, gloppy mud. Kind of lumpy, kind of brown. It sure beats being green. He left the mud on. Verdi really does not want to be green. But the soft brown muck dried into a hard gray shell, and Verdi could barely move. Even if he budged, the stuff cracked off in jagged chunks. As each piece fell away, Verdi could see that his body was changing, even greener than before. This is terrible, he cried. He pictured himself hanging around the droopy loops, itching and complaining and worrying all day like the old greens. He looked up into the sky where the sun blazed a beautiful yellow, just the color he used to be. And then he pulled a vine to the top of the tree. Sorry about that. He is not happy. Launching himself from the treetop, Verdi startled a flock of colorful birds. He became dizzy with delight, sure that the bright sun and his lofty speed would get him to be golden again, would turn him golden again. In his joy, Verdi forgot that he would fall back to earth. Oh no. He's so high in the air. Whippity whappity flippity flap, wham! Plummeting through the forest and the trees, Verdi landed on a crooked sprawl and across a log in the forest floor. He couldn't move. Help, he croaked. As usual, the greens had been watching Verdi's antics. They moved quickly to where he lay. Didn't we say what would come of this? Umbles said, shaking his head. Aggie sighed. Lucky thing he's still got two good eyes. They gently lifted Verdi up into a safer place where they could watch over him while he healed. And now the greens are taking care of him. Neatly splinted to a branch, Verdi had no choice but to listen to the greens as they gabbed. Remember how I used to streak across the forest floor, Ribbon said. Quick as lightning, answered Aggie, and I climbed giant trees like they were nothing. They grew taller than you know. The things I dare run down and swallow, Umbles bragged. Wild boar was no match for me. Verdi was astonished. You used to run and climb and hunt giant pigs? What happened? Ribbon crashed, just like you, Aggie replied. I took a terrible fall and almost put an eye out. And then Umbles here nearly choked to death. And we all prefer the quiet life. A warm perch, a little sun shining, and an occasional good meal. The greens rambled on about their days of glory, and Verdi settled in on his branch. Finally, one afternoon, Umbles said, Looks like you're ready to go again. He carefully untied Verdi from the branch. You are welcome to come with us, said Aggie. Ribbon agreed. The three greens slipped away quietly, back into the forest. Verdi wasn't ready to join them. He wasn't sure where he wanted to go, so he just stretched and stayed put and let the sun shine on him until it went down. He listened to the forest as it came alive. All those beautiful creatures that come out at night, nocturnal little animals. Time passed. The sun and moon turned into the sky, and Verdi marveled at as the full moon grew thinner each night. And then he watched patiently as it grew around again. He wondered why he hadn't noticed that before. Verdi became so green that he blended in perfect with the leaves. He was so still that other creatures walked right by without seeing him. Right there, he's camouflaged. One fine morning, Verdi basked in the sunshine, and two small yellow snakes approached. They tapped and fidgeted, and they stared. "Get a load of that green guy," one of them whispered. "Do you think he ever moves?" The other snickered. "Poosh, I seriously doubt it." "They're just like I used to be," thought Verdi, "and now I'm what I was afraid to be." He looked at his big green body and slowly smiled. "How'd you like to climb trees with me?" he asked. "With you?" The yellows were astounded. "I'll even show you my fancy figure eight," Verdi replied, though he was a little worried about putting out an eye. He is a little older and a little slower. But with practice, the three snakes performed a perfect triple figure eight. Leaping and looping with his little striped friends, Verdi laughed. "I may be big and I may be green, but I'm still me." And that's it for this story, and these are some facts on some snakes. So we'll just leave that on this last page here. So thank you so much for letting me read Verdi to you. I love this story and how he transformed and how he actually became comfortable with who he is, but also has an appreciation for other snakes with their differences. I surely hope I get to read this or another story with you soon, and very much appreciate you having me today.
All you gotta do